everyone, for another edition of Boston Real Estate Town Hall. This week I have my lovely wife and owner of Ivory and Bone Interiors. So this week we wanted to kind of take it a little bit into a different direction of the current crisis we're in right now, and go into things that you could do inside your home while you're in quarantine, and things you can do to make your home a little bit more comfortable. And that's why we have Katie here.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for joining. So I'm good at answering questions. So any versus just talking. So any questions that you have for me?
Yeah, typically I'm like the boring part of the relationship duo. We're not like a Chip and Joanna Gaines by any means, where there's two entertainers. So Katie's always good for all the great content. Yeah. So Sarah asked, what is the best bang for your buck in terms of resale, quick fixes that can increase the value of your home? So
quick fixes. Backsplash. Mm-hmm. That's something that, it's a little bit more of a hunt because, you have your old cabinets or your old countertop and you have to marry the two. I would say that's a quick fix. Peel stick wallpaper. So I get go ahead.
What is this? The peel stick wallpaper.
So it's actually not like, you don't use paste to wallpaper where you have to like actually scratch it off if you want things to change. Mm-hmm. It's peel stick. So it's kind of hard in the application, but it's kind of like a decal. And then you can do either a really fun nook or a fun powder room. And I think it kind of makes that Pinterest element that sells houses to women, especially.
Yeah.
I think adding reclaimed wood or brick, like you could actually, I use brick tile a lot, where it's not just the whole brick.
Like a thinner veneer, right?
Thinner veneer. And men, not to be stereotypical, but or a woman with rustic style, love exposed beams and love that brick tile. If you want to brick tile your walkway or brick tile your backsplash, not your walkway, your entrance area.
Is that expensive?
No, it's not. It's not more than any type of tile.
Subway tile.
Yeah. But I would say like creating those little nooks around your house where a woman, because a lot of women, I would say, when you say women kind of buy houses, in terms of like.
Yeah, I would say the women kind of buy,
the experience.
Again, not to be sexist here, but the women will buy, they'll make the decision, and typically the men will sign off on the space, the size, the outdoor area.
The value.
For me and you, when we're looking at houses, I tend to look at like the lot size and the outdoor space. What kind of deck situation, what kind of.
You're always down in the basement.
For the 3 months a year we're actually using the outdoors, I concentrate the entire purchase on those 3 months. So it's maybe it's not the right move, but we just enjoy that.
Yeah, I think women really can kind of look at the experience and try to envision themselves there. So like for example, like even a window seat with two flanking. I'll say I come from the decor background. Mm-hmm. You'd have a different perspective, but the sconce is kind of flanking a bench seat, right? Or the brick on the entranceway, or a powder room that has a pop of color. I think those can kind of go, whoa, I'm buying something that's unique here, and without getting too risky. I think it's ways to.
So going into that, just a question that I have. I see a lot of like nooks, bench areas and seating. Mm-hmm. Is there, how hard is it? Because I see like all these like hidden room shows and places online where they have made a secret passageway under a staircase or storage under a bench. How hard is that to do like financially? Is that
hard?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a client that does it right now. He is like Mr. Fun. So for his family, he's did like an aquarium right in the middle of his breakfast nook. He's doing a slide outside. We talked about, I have another client that has swings in her living room. I love those ideas, and they make a house so one of a kind. It's just, it's a lot of work.
Okay.
And,
what are we talking here price-wise? Like for instance,
I never put out numbers,
but for like a bay window that's got you want to do like a bench seating, and you want to do like flip up storage underneath or some type of drawers.
I mean, that depends on the contractor.
Okay.
It depends on what how much experience he has. If he really wants the work, if he has enough work. I mean, I would say how finished is it?
Yeah.
You know, that can range anywhere from
Yeah, because
2,000
you're in
to
South
5,000.
Boston versus Back Bay, and a really like elegant parlor mansion might be, you know, the crown molding might be playing into that a little bit more versus like South Boston, where it's like a little bit more modern.
It definitely depends on where you're at. I mean, and this brings us up to another subject is contractors.
Yeah.
I would say I get a lot of questions in regards to what are warning signs with contractors, what are good signs with contractors, and I would say don't go for the lowest price. Unless that person is new out of the gate and wants to prove himself, I respect that, or herself. I respect that. But with that said, if that person has experience, go with the person that's really thorough and their estimate is really thorough and they're almost being somewhat even nitpicky. It might seem really intense at first, but that person is going to keep your budget in line and keep communication going. Communication is huge. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be hurdles. But if you have communication with your contractor, it makes the world of difference.
Yeah, no, and you know, that's the other thing is like,
and referrals.
Yeah, no, getting those referrals and, you know, asking whoever your trusted source is in the area to, you know, give you a couple different people to pick from. I always think if you're paying bananas, you get monkeys. The same, you know, I use that saying all the time, but it is true. And so, oh, sorry, we had one other question just come in. What was it here? I just had it up. I wanted to get to it. Now that we're in quarantine, what are some ways to spruce up your outdoor space?
Oh yeah, we're doing that now too.
Yeah.
I would say a huge thing if you're buying outdoor furniture, which a lot of people are, this is a huge sticker shock. I bought chaise lounges the other day and they were $600 a pop. You're buying 5 of them. It's just a lot to swallow.
They're teak.
They're teak. Yeah, and so I would say a huge thing is if you're going to go inexpensive in that route, like the Wayfair type of furniture, I would really be careful of that wicker. If I were you, I would go with more of a wood, either a teak or a mango, because everything ages gray. It's usually built somewhat well, and I would say the wicker tends to look a little plasticky. I would also beware of cushions. You know, colors can be really cream and yellowy versus like a nice ivory. Umbrellas have that problem too. So make sure it's returnable if you get it and it's, you know, kind of yellow, and those cushions can sometimes be stiff. So you can always recushion them, but I would be a little bit weary of that. So big places that I love to go, obviously Restoration Hardware for outdoor. I love Ballard Designs outdoor. So those are huge ones Wisteria, those main places I really like.
And why with the rattan or the wicker, is it because like when it's cheaper, it's
just not made right?
Yeah.
It's just plasticky. Yeah, it's just plasticky. It doesn't look like that kind of like resin real wicker that's weather resistant. So you can see the price there. You can it's exposing it. Another thing is troughs. So like, this is one of my favorite parts.
We have enough of those.
Yeah, Stephen's gonna kill me. But I get like those cement troughs that are kind of like narrow rectangles and kind of abut them. A local shop around here called Sage Design, they do a great job. If you're in Boston, I would take the trip down to Newburyport and see them. But they've kind of taught me to kind of abut those troughs. And everything that you do in symmetry, right? So when you go to Lowe's or your local flower place, always get 2. So anything you do to kind of visually split your trough in half, and whatever you do to one side, do to the other, and that'll create some kind of uniformity, and it will be really pretty for this summer. Also, I love rectangle umbrellas over rectangular tables. I know it sounds odd, but you know, for a circular table, use a circular umbrella. That's not to say it's a strong, hard, fast rule, but I love that. And rectangular umbrellas are a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
I also love the pulleys versus the cranks. So.
Yeah, the rectangular umbrellas, we've gone through a few of those just because of, you know, it's a little windy where we are.
Yeah.
And, but they do look a little nicer. They definitely, what are
They
they,
do.
30% more expensive?
Probably 50.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
but also another one, fire table. So
Yeah.
Ethan and I have a fire table. Our parents bought it for a housewarming. It was pretty steep because, but you can find ones on, I think it's even firetables.com or woodburning.com. And you can buy them if you don't want to have a plumber come in. You can buy a fire table and have a propane tank next to it. And they pair the order with an end table that goes over the propane tank. So everything is hidden, and you don't have to hire anybody. You can get that fire table. You just can't do an outdoor rug. But s'mores, projectors are a huge thing. That's like a low cost of entry, right?
I think one of the big things I tell our clients right now is for listing prep. One of the main 5 things you should focus on is especially timing your listing right for the spring summer season, and then accentuating the outdoor space they have, especially in the city. So if you have a deck or a patio, bringing out your furniture earlier on in the season, getting those cushions cleaned, getting a fire pit, getting that umbrella up, potentially doing some like hanging tomatoes or some type of like vegetable or
I would say a huge thing is lanterns too. If you have stairs on your deck, go to World Market and get those black lanterns and just kind of stack them, like stagger them down. Not all the way exactly across from each other, but kind of at an angle so you can see each one down the stairs. I think that's really pretty. And then also a huge thing is going to Target and getting those Christmas lights and finding a high point in your house or a high point on your fence and bringing those down at a diagonal. You can even take a bamboo stick and like extend your fence and kind of line your whole deck with those Christmas lights. They're so inexpensive, and it's such a nice twinkle for entertaining.
What are your thoughts on like al fresco outdoor dining and making your outdoor space more of like an outdoor kitchen or outdoor dining area? I know it's obviously very expensive to do, but
and especially out of the 3 months out of the year, it's tough. If you can do it, I say all for it. What's great is if you're hosting, I would say though, if you're going to bring the stuff out this summer, I would invest in one of those huge cutting boards where you do like a charcuterie and you have all the colors of the meat and the cheese and the fruit all touching, and then get like Serena and Lily have this, but like an outdoor like rolling bar cart. Even Overstock and places like that have gold, really nice ones, and bring that out and kind of do a signature drink where you have all of the like fixings there or whatever, and all of the glasses ready to go. So you're inviting it. And then, I would say I'm kind of going off on entertaining here, but I would say
what I think of what a home is, and, you can go into like, some people are like, it's your furniture, it's your design. I think it's the memories, and that's basically everything. So if you have a space that can make memories, especially outdoor space, that's what you're going to remember when you're looking back at your life, like a couple years from now, and you're going to say, oh my God, we had such a nice patio. We had all those nice parties outside. So that's what really energizes me. And I feel like if you have a listing in the spring or the summer and you can show that to a client, they can see themselves, they can see their family and their friends out there. And, same thing with Kitchen Island, like same thing. Like,
because I always call it the family nucleus. So just plan on your, like, that's a trend that's going out, right? Is the formal dining room. Now they're even like farmhouse tables are very casual. People are congregating. I think it's because they know it's the kitchen, and I think that they do that because I don't know about you, but every friend that I think about who's a really good host is someone where I feel comfortable enough to go into their fridge and grab something. Where they're
it's like Seinfeld where Kramer just goes
he just goes and grabs it. It's when you can feel calm and the host isn't stressed about making the night perfect. They're just putting on music a little bit louder than making you talk a little bit louder and the music's you always make it so everybody's screaming.
So the music is forefront.
But finding that right, that right feel and being really relaxed and letting the night take it where it goes. I think that's like my number one host that I love. Yeah.
I agree. So Andrew has a question. Hey, Ethan and Katie, now that everyone's stuck at home with lots of time, we're thinking of doing some interior painting ourselves. With the right equipment, are first-time painters able to do quality work, or is it always worth it to hire a professional?
I mean,
I
oh, go ahead.
I would say it depends on how much time you have, because if you've never painted before, and Katie and I have done a lot of painting, especially in our own home when we have free time. I would, if you're the type of person that can focus, and usually I do the roller and Katie does the trim, because I don't have the technical skills to do,
or the steady hand.
Yeah, or the steady hand. But I would always hire someone, because there's fights that can happen, and you want to have your quality of life as high as possible at all times. And I would always, outsource that if it was too big of a job. If it was just one room, I'm good with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. If it's one, and what I was going to say, it's all about prep work. So if you're patient enough to go and really tape off the whole ceiling and tape all the way down those window trims and all the way down on the baseboards, and that takes an hour.
And the floor.
Yeah.
Covering the floor with
and covering the floor with the drop cloth.
Yeah.
I would say it takes an hour to 2. That's the bulk of your work. So then a big thing with equipment is making sure there's a lot of light in there, and making sure you have like a small bucket. It's one of those small buckets you can go around and kind of, use those. So you don't have to keep going back to the main bucket.
Yeah.
I would say, but yeah, I agree. I agree with Ethan. If you're patient and you can do it, I'd say one room. Stick to one room, maybe 2, and I'd say do it.
Okay, so Katie, Sarah has a question. What do you think of the wallpaper trend? Is it too overdone?
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. I would say no, I don't think it's overdone. I think people are getting even bolder and louder with their wallpaper right now.
The ceiling?
Course, wallpaper in the ceiling. I do that in restaurants a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm weird with trends. It's definitely going to go out eventually, right? As is anything. So I think you just have to go with your gut and do what you love. So you're in a house that you love. So don't think about too many, don't let trends stop you from doing something that you look at and you're like, that's me, that represents me.
So what's timeless in your eyes? What are things that aren't trends?
I think my clients are getting so sick of me saying this, but marble is
Yeah.
timeless to me.
Okay.
It's been around since Caesar. So, I mean, it's timeless.
So my thing with marble is, especially when it's aged, there's a story behind it. And I just feel like it's more comforting. It's more relaxing when you have that like marble that might have a few etches here and there, might have a little yellowing or, some type of staining in it. I feel like that's relaxing. You see it a lot in, around bathroom tile floors. That's not the staining I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a nice like countertop or fireplace. Yes.
If you have a stain though, email me. My mom went to the hairdressers and got a peroxide with a baking soda mix, put it with saran wrap on top, let it sit there for 24 hours. And that urine stain around the toilets does go out, does get out. But anyways, what Ethan's saying, I agree. I think there's a story to be told with it. And I think you never go into like a French cafe in New York City and you're not like, oh, look at that yellow stain. I mean, it's part of the character and the charm.
And I mean, obviously when you first get a new kitchen, you can always seal that. And we have marble right now, if you see, that marble we have has, we sealed that probably 3 years ago. It's just starting to tarnish now, so we'll have to reseal it. But
and tarnish meaning if we leave wine or strawberries for like 24 hours.
Yeah, or a coffee cup or something like that. Like, but that sealant lasts a pretty long time, and it actually doesn't really stain. It's just you have to work it out.
Candy canes though. We tried so hard with, remember the candy canes?
Oh my God, the candy canes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
the magic eraser.
All right, I got another question here. When entertaining, what are your go-to elements that make the house inviting? We've already touched on this a little bit, but do you want to just touch on that?
Which one?
When we are entertaining, what are your go-to elements that make the house more inviting?
Yeah, I would say that's it. Like the music, the charcuterie board, allowing people to just kind of dig their hands in, that kind of, anything that you can do to make it.
Trays and stuff.
Yeah, like anything you can do to make people feel at home and like, unless you're a germaphobe out there, but like getting your hands in and like, where everybody's kind of picking at the table, I think is really, and the music is huge. And just being a host where it's like, if they're like, hey, you want to do you have any water? I'd be like, yeah, go grab it. It's not that I am lazy to some extent, but it's not that. It's, I want them to feel comfortable in my home. So making things not so untouchable is huge.
Okay. So, here's another one. When buying a home, this was emailed to us. What do you look for in terms of money pits, things to avoid?
I think Ethan can probably answer this better. The only thing that I will say is layout is very difficult to change once you're in there. Is, in terms of the kitchen, do you want to be around your family the whole time while you're in the kitchen? Do you want to be just a peek around the corner where all the stuff is kind of hidden, but you can kind of peek out and see everybody? Or do you want to be in complete privacy? Things like that, I think you really need to, those can be a money pit if you just let the layout, fall in love with the layout, or be prepared to spend some money to change it.
I think, another thing to your point about layout changes, especially in historical districts, most of Boston, you're going to have to deal with, some type of approval, whether it be from a historical society or from the city to do some of these things, or from your association if you're in a condo building. So it's not as easy as you might think, because you don't want to affect units up or down. Mm-hmm. And in terms of what I look for in terms of when you're buying a house in terms of money pits is especially with older buildings is structural issues. So if there is a structural issue, you better go to the farthest length to figure out if this is something that I'm willing to invest in, because those problems, lifting up a house, jacking it up and redoing a foundation, or pulling the houses together and pinning everything.
When you're involved in the seller,
they don't add any value. Yeah. They don't add any value unless the place is priced in a way that's, showing that those structural issues mm-hmm. are based on the price. I also think that, if you can push your furnace to the farthest point possible, especially if you just keep it serviced, you don't always have to replace that older furnace. That can be very expensive. Yes. And it's one of those other things. It's not going to add any value to your property. This is the boring part. This is the ROI part of this.
I would say,
but that's, you want to push that as far as possible, unless there's something that is like, you can go from a radiant heating to a central heat situation. That might bring the value of your property up, big time, adding, central heat or central air.
I would say just in terms of fun stuff, because that stuff's not fun, right?
Right.
And then,
money pits we're talking about.
And I was going to talk about the thermostat. If you change your thermostat to a Nest, it updates your house so much.
Everything.
I know that sounds so stupid, but
or
with
locks,
or just updating doorknobs. Those are huge for resale. But anyways, another thing to the money pits. A lot of people, I think, a big misconception is money pits or kitchen and baths. They do cost a lot of money, but if you're looking, and tell me if you back me on this, but if you're looking for a house, Ethan and I usually go towards things where it's in a really good location, but the bathroom and the kitchen mm-hmm. aren't redone. I look at that as not a loss, but an opportunity. Granted, we are project people and ambitious when it comes to contractors and things, but that has an ability to, if you update that bathroom and that kitchen, I think it's, what would you say, 3 times the value you put into it?
Sometimes, yeah.
So it's that kind of, you're getting a steal if it's not updated, right? And it's just maybe not in the city.
Well, there's a couple things I want to say on this. One is, if you're buying a house that has a kitchen you don't like, but it's been recently updated, the price will reflect that awful design, according to your eyes, and you don't want to pay for a brand new kitchen, because that won't be a return on investment.
Yes.
Also, when you buy a kitchen that's been over renovated, sometimes the sellers will be like, "Oh, we put $400,000 in our kitchen," but it's lipstick on a pig. They have a bad location, or
but they have a Viking stove.
Yeah, you don't want to get into that situation.
Yeah.
Kind of understand your property, what it is, and don't try to make it something it's not. But I think the biggest thing for us, especially, is I love something that is old and can be reinvented in a way that's more modern, or more just it's restored to a new value.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that is particular to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're open to it, and you're actually open to contractors and the work that goes into that and all the decision making, if you're open to that, I think it's an opportunity. I definitely don't think it's a money pit.
Okay, so May says, my mom.
Hi, Trisha.
My mom wants to know if shiplap is out of style, or any type of wood paneling to that effect.
I don't think so. I think maybe in the traditional sense, again, not out of style. I don't think it's at that point where it's going to look dated or anything. I just don't think it's at the top of the trend right now. Obviously, Joanna Gaines kind of just like slaughtered that and just, made it beautiful, but everyone was doing shiplap. If I had a dime for every time a client was like, shiplap.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a cool look. And I think there's a way to reinvent that, right? I think you can do vertical shiplap or vertical trim, different types of trim. I think is still awesome. I think it creates dimension, just like wainscoting and beadboard. I think it kind of goes in that kind of realm, and I don't think it's out of style by any means currently.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you is in regards to sorry, I have it here. I wrote this question down. This is a question I had. One of my clients asked. Chunky furniture. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but why have you always been like so fascinated with, personally, why have you always been so fascinated with like the chunky furniture and like the really thick stuff?
I think it's because it's like unapologetic, kind of. It's like you go in there and you make a statement. Especially when it comes to like square arms on a couch versus round arms. I think that's a little bit more modern and clean. With chunky, I think chunky has a feeling of masculinity to it too. I know another person asked, how do you combine femininity and masculinity?
Yeah.
Like a husband and wife, Jack and Jill type of deal. I think chunky furniture achieves that, where it's kind of that masculine, big furniture that can surprisingly make a small place actually feel bigger, which is odd. You would think it would be the opposite. But I think it's kind of like unapologetic and dominant, which I love a risk. So.
Yeah. I think, just from having a lot of bigger pieces in our house, end tables, coffee tables, bigger couches, it's almost like a little bit more warming and comforting too. You don't feel like you're sitting on like a little thin,
like kind of like yes. I mean, if you look back there, right, those shelves, I requested that those be an inch versus like sometimes they make those thin shelves, So for me, it's also more cozy.
Yeah.
Versus if you could imagine those in a quarter of an inch thin shelf, it would just be way more modern, way more clean. I like kind of like I'm here and I'm not sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so Caitlin asks, do you have any go-to quick fixes or online shopping sites you suggest?
Yeah, I have tons. A big thing is Shop Candelabra, Kathy Kuo, Aiden Gray. I like, there's tons here. I used to like Zinkdor. They went out of business. I love Wisteria. Surprisingly I always say this, but surprisingly a big one is Etsy. It's almost like you're shopping local online.
Yeah. And a lot of times you can talk to the contractor and be like, hey, can you do it a little different than how you
you can custom furniture, custom art. And everyone on Etsy is so nice and like easy to work with. And it's kind of like back to that mom and pop, which I would love to preserve. And it's nice. I would only say that Etsy is very saturated. So if you have something particular, like for example, an abstract painting that has purple and green in it, get very specific with that. Canvas, aubergine, emerald green, abstract, like put that all in the bar, because otherwise
what is aubergine?
I think it's aubergine. It's like an eggplant color.
Okay.
But like it's a purple I like, but like get really specific, because then you're going to have 3 pages versus 20 to look through.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got a few more.
Sure.
If my living room,
how do you approach clients with dealing with particular taste?
No, that's not.
I like that one.
How do you approach dealing with clients with particular taste? Their taste versus yours.
Yeah. So I always look through it so I'm serving them, right? I'm getting paid to articulate their style and hopefully escalate their style and come up with some different inventive ideas along the way. So I just kind of put my goggles on and think, I first of all name their style. Everyone should do this. I talked about this in my last live. Everybody should say, am I coastal prep? Am I global aesthetic? Am I contemporary glam? Name your style. I always name my client's style for them. And I look at things through that lens. I put those glasses on.
You label them.
Yes. And my biggest, stipulation for them is when their guests come in their house, will they say, this person has good style? So that's really my huge goal, is to articulate their style, escalate it, and have their guests come in and say, this person has a point of view. This is cohesive. This person has a style.
Yeah.
That's what I like to achieve. And I think by the end of the process, my clients kind of end up knowing their own style and can now shop on their own.
Mm-hmm. So Caitlin asks, I get this question a lot.
Hold on, our basset hound has to be let out. Come on,
Katie, do you have any go-to neutral paint colors?
Yes.
Everyone keeps asking me that. Now, Caitlin's an agent on her team.
My stool's just broke.
What?
No, it's fine. What did you say though?
Do you have any go-to neutral paint colors?
Yeah. I would say calm for a light gray.
Okay.
Love calm. This is all Benjamin Moore, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Abalone gray. It's a medium gray. I love Sage Mountain for a green. It's kind of like a subtle mossy green. Hail Navy is always a nice go-to blue. That's the extent of which I go with painting color.
Mm-hmm.
Chantilly lace is my favorite. That's white. The
light one.
Yeah, if you want a warmer white, Dove white. If you want a colder white, Decorator's white. But I kind of believe in neutralizing your walls and making your space seem big and soothing. And then adding color in with accessories and pillows and things that are a little bit less temporary.
Okay, so for couples who have drastically different styles, how do you find a middle ground? This is from Lisa.
Well, it was the same with Debbie's question about the antiques and the modern. I think it makes it interesting. So I have a client that, she really likes crystal and shiny things, and the husband really likes rustic and, so we molded those too. Like we bought, Elmwood Lumber does awesome paneling. I use them for a lot of like light Scandinavian woods and that they outsource. That's different shades. And I use Elmwood Lumbers to create kind of a whitewash ceiling. And then I dropped a big like Restoration Hardware crystal light from it. And that contrast is cool. If I dropped like an iron orb light, it'd be like, yeah, that's one note. I get it. It's, Restoration Hardware's cover.
Yeah.
I get it. You have a message. But to kind of contrast it, it's unexpected. And that's when someone goes, oh, this is one of a kind. This is cool.
Yeah.
And someone steps back.
Yeah.
So.
Hold on. I will get a couple more here. So are L couches tacky from Allison?
No, I don't think they are at all. I don't even think curved couches are tacky. Those like old, Scarface curved couches. I don't think those are tacky either. I even like those coffee tables that kick up.
That pull up for them.
The food.
Yeah, the food.
I recommended those. Yeah. No, I don't think it is.
So I guess one of the big things that we have to go through is listing prep, and that's something I wanted to talk about for people that are putting their house on the market. And I think along with some of Katie's suggestions with paint colors, an absolute must every time you list a property is you need to paint your interior. And one of the big things here is not only does it give it a fresh look, but when people walk in, the smell, oh my God, if you have dogs, just from living there for 3 or 4 years, you're gonna have your own like smell to the unit, and the unit's gonna smell either like wood, drywall, or your furniture. So painting is an absolute must, and I recommend it for every single listing I get, even for listings that are 2 or 3 years old. I think that freshened look, it's probably the best ROI you can do, especially for moving that property quickly on the market. The second, and Katie talked about this a little bit, is decluttering. You have to declutter your house and pick the items that make, that are the vision of your house. So, picking only the best items, getting everything out. And then also when you do that, don't just throw everything into a closet. You have to get this into, you have to emphasize the storage and the space, the closet space in your house or in your condo, because especially during times like this where it's quarantine, you need every single inch of that house.
But also, I mean, to just elaborate, because I'm big on decluttering. That quote I said the other day of like, it's not about having less, it's about having more of what means something to you. So I think that's huge, because first of all, you're moving, right? And you don't want to move all your clutter.
Right?
That's
a good point too.
And we tend to hold,
you're resetting.
Yes, and it's a reset to hone in on your style. But we tend to hold on to things for that like rainy day. And I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose this, right? We have that fear, but think about what you're gaining the other 364 days a year. Right. So
that's a good point.
Like, do I want to deal with this?
Most of those those memories are one.
And do I want this stuff bogging me down that isn't pretty, reflects me, or isn't my style or useful to me? Those things tend to subliminally bog you down. And by creating space, you allow the things that are useful to shine, right? And you allow your eye, like space is a character in this whole thing. So it allows you to kind of look at the things that actually matter and reflect you, versus like everything being in the mix and your mind's just a little bit more chaotic, or your guests are a little bit more chaotic, or your potential buyers.
Especially because they're gonna go in and they're gonna be like, oh my god, this place is messy, and they're gonna have their own. Am I gonna be messy when I'm here? It's not gonna be. This is chaos and clutter. I can't be part of this. So
and you'd hate to hear this, but it also allows you to buy more. Like it opens up, like I just cleaned out my closet, and it opens up to, I only have one tank top I really like. I have to buy more, and so you can buy more things, which is nice. Once you clean everything out.
And then, just to kind of finish up this listing prep point, I think, again, I talked about this earlier, but emphasizing that outdoor area right now is so big. Like I have a client that's putting a property on the market, and they have an awesome deck, and the deck doesn't have any furniture on it. I told them to bring it up, clean the cushions, from storage in the fall, and then get that umbrella up, clean the grill off, and really emphasize that outdoor area, because especially in a time like this when you're so bunged in from the quarantine, you want to be able to enjoy that. And then what are your thoughts on just indoor gardens, indoor flowers, plants, like I mean, I think that when you're listing a property or prepping it, and you've staged this home, having a little bit of greenery inside, or having like a big lemon centerpiece,
the only thing I would say is when you do the get like those big baskets, think about the planters more than the actual plant. So the planters that they're in, whether it's a cement trough or a big basket, like the beachcomber basket from Pottery Barn, I use all the time, or like a zinc planter from Restoration Hardware. If you get, or like World Market has nice baskets. I would get like always in a corner, I would do one big one. And then maybe one small one to throw your throws in, or do a little smaller of a plant. There's also those kind of like stand ones that you can do. On House, they have some really cool ones that are actually like on a stand, like a little planter, and do two of those and layer them like a nesting table almost in the corner. I would say plants are huge, or like a little like a little succulent meeting like near your sink. I think that's cute as well.
Oh my God, yeah. And instead of just having like, people want to declutter, but they can't just have an empty countertop. You have to have like some
stuff. It's too sterile. It's not inviting. So I would say, that would be nice.
Well, that's it, I think, for this. Unless you have any questions for me. I know.
No, I have them all answered. It's good.
Well, thanks again for coming on. We had a little Facebook difficulties, but we'll post this live. We'll post this on Facebook for you to rewatch if you missed anything. And reach out to Katie if you needs some help with interior design. And I'll post her information after this. But thank you for everyone for coming on, and thanks for all the questions. And have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks, Ethan, for having me on.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. Hi, guys.